We're No Angels was a Paramount film made in 1955 starring Humphrey Bogart, Aldo Rey, and Peter Ustinov.
Of all the Humphrey Bogart films, this was one I've never heard of.
It's really obscure, and part of that is because it's not your typical Humphrey Bogart movie.
And the cover has them in, striped pajamas, and then the intro kind of shows them in their heads superimposed on cherubs, and so I was like, okay, maybe they're singing prisoners. And I really had no idea what I was getting into, and really had no idea where it was going.
I mean, I'm pretty good at predicting plot points, and I could not predict this movie.
From one scene to the next, there's just no telling what the characters are going to do or where the story's going to take you.
So I think if you are the kind of person who normally can predict your movies and you get bored really easy with predictable plots, I think this is a movie you would probably enjoy.
There's a lot going on in this movie, and that's part of what makes it really fun. It's really hard to see the ending coming. I also think it would be really hard to recreate without sticking with the same time period.
You're following these three sort of escaped criminals, and throughout the action of the movie, they get involved with this family who lives on the island.
The three characters in this movie really are kind of terrible people.
I'm a crook. These are murderers.
And unlike a lot of movies, they don't let you forget that they've done some pretty bad things. They bring it up quite frequently, and sometimes it's even very funny the way they bring it up.
But you're supposed to when a girl faints.
None of us went to jail for biting our nails.
Forgery's not a hobby with me. It's an art.
I've never seen Humphrey Bogart play a role like this, and I've seen quite a few Humphrey Bogart movies. He's sort of, funny.
We're escaping, and this is our only chance. We came here to rob them, and that's what we're gonna do. Beat their heads in, gouge their eyes out, cut their throats. As soon as we wash the dishes.
I think that was one of the most winning things about this film, ultimately, was they took this actor who's so serious, so kind of hardcore in all of his movies, and they made him silly without losing any of his edge.
The part was absolutely perfect for him because you have to be serious in this comedic part. It's funny because he's serious.
Before this movie, I was not familiar at all with Peter Ustinov. He is just a treat to watch. He has these great facial expressions, and I've watched it a couple of times since the first time I watched it, and it's like every line of his is just gold.
It does bring out the color in your beautiful big brown eyes. Oh, to be a painter.
He makes this face. I'm gonna try to make the face, but it's way better when he does it. Every time he makes that face, something golden is happening.
I've never heard of Aldo Rey before. I've never seen him in anything else or heard of him being in anything else, but he brought this really fun dynamic to the trio that was very interesting and very different from anything else I've ever seen.
You frighten me.
Favorite scene is the court scene. They have a fake court.
Court is now in session. Albert, you're the prosecuting attorney. You are the attorney for the defense.
Oh.
One of my favorite scenes takes place around Christmas dinner, and it's sort of been building to this for a little while, although it's not the climax of the movie by any means. And there's just a lot of really fun things happening. The three convicts sort of are serving this family, and actually this is a very rare instance where we heard Humphrey Bogart sing.
And three angels came that night.
One of my favorite scenes in this film is the first time you get to see Humphrey Bogart really bring out that silly fun side. He's helping a customer in the shop and he's selling him these items that he has no use for.
Look at this beautiful silver comb and brush set. It was made for you.
You get to really see this totally different side of Humphrey Bogart that is super sly and cheesy and charming and just amazing.
I don't sell a piece of goods, I sell an idea.
I would give this movie 4 stars, and the reasons are, first of all, the pacing is a little bit slow in the beginning. As much as I love this movie, there are a few minutes I wish had kind of been sped up or cut out.
I would give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. but it is a little slow. At the beginning of the movie, it takes a while to get into what's going on, and it'll take you a while to get into the humor, so just be aware of that.
I think I would give this movie 4 stars out of 5. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was marvelous, and I'd totally watch it again. The reason I give it 4 is it doesn't have a driving flow the entire time, and so you'll be watching it and kind of be like, okay, so where are we going? Okay, I'm not quite sure. And then it starts to pick up towards the end.
I would give this movie 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved it, but there was something about the ending that I had a love-hate relationship with. In some ways it was perfectly fitting for the story, and in other ways it left me wanting something. But overall, it was just a fun, silly movie.
And I enjoyed every minute of it.
This movie is based off of 2 plays, an American play called My Three Angels and a French play called Dinner with the Angels.
We're No Angels was directed by Michael Curtiz, who also directed Casablanca.
There is a little bit of a geography issue with this movie. They talk about Devil's Island, and there's a city of Cayenne, and those were not, I believe, on the same island as they are pictured in this movie.
If you've never heard of Peter Ustinov, you might be surprised to learn that he's the voice of both Prince John and King Richard in Disney's Robin Hood.
This movie is described as one of Humphrey Bogart's rare comedies, but in searching, I didn't really find any others that were definite comedies. So that makes this definitely a rare find.
In 1989, they actually did remake We're No Angels with Robert De Niro and Sean Penn. But when it came down to it, all they really took was the name, because you can't get the same plot out of a more modern time period that you could have back then.
If you like We're No Angels, a couple of other good Humphrey Bogart films are Casablanca and The Big Sleep.